All right, 3, 2, 1, and we are recording. Hello and welcome to the Avanti Entrepreneur Podcast. I am David Mamano, your host, and we are here to help entrepreneurial achievers and business owners and leaders move forward. And the way I do that is I interview the nation's best movers and shakers and thought leaders. Today I have on the show two incredible thought leaders. I told them before the show I'm a little starstruck. Very excited. So on the show today, I have Victor Hansen and his wife, Crystal Dwyer Hansen. Dwyer Hansen. I need my readers. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, that's it. And they are on the show today, and I'm gonna read their bios just in case you've been living in a cave, you haven't heard the names, and then we're gonna jump into all the good stuff that they're doing. So Victor Hansen is best known as the co-author for the Chicken Soup for the Soul book series and brand, setting the world record in book sales with over 500 million books sold. Mark also has worked his way into a worldwide spotlight as a sought-after keynote speaker and entrepreneurial marketing maven, creating a stream of successful people who have created massive success for themselves through Mark's unique teachings and wisdom. With his endearing, charismatic style, Mark captures his audience's attention as well as their hearts, having spoken to over 6,000 audiences worldwide. With his one-of-a-kind technique and masterful authority of his work, time and time again, he continues to receive high accolades from his audiences as one of the most dynamic and compelling speakers and leaders of all time. He is also a prolific writer of 307 books, authored and co-authored. Many popular books such as The Power of Focus, The Aladdin Factor, Dare to Win, 1 Minute Millionaire, which has inspired and helped thousands of people all over the world to become millionaires. Mark has also made a profound influence through his extensive library of audio programs, video programs, and enriching articles in the areas of self-development, life mastery, leadership, exponential business growth, big thinking, sales achievement, and publishing success. His knowledge is a culmination of 44 years of cross-disciplinary research, international travel, media, and consultations. Mark has appeared on Oprah, CNN, The Today Show, national print media like Time, U.S. News, World Report, USA Today, The New York Times, Entrepreneur Success, as well as being featured on countless radio and newspaper interviews. And he assures people everywhere that with the right principles and mentors, you can easily create the life of your dreams. Might be the best bio I ever read. Nice going. I'm going to move into Crystal's now. So Crystal Dwyer Hansen is a entrepreneur, certified life coach, and a wellness nutrition expert whose personal coaching, speaking, CD and audio programs, books and articles have helped people all over the world. Crystal's expertise is in the field of human potential. Those who have worked with Crystal have experienced profound and lasting transformation in relationships, career, health, and wellness. Crystal is a member of the International Coaching Federation and the founder of Crystal Vision Life Limited and Skinny Life, a wellness company. And that's at skinnylife.com. Her book, Skinny Life, The Secret to Being Physically, Emotionally, and Spiritually Fit, is available at Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. She travels the world with her husband and best-selling author, entrepreneur, Victor Hansen, speaking, inspiring, and teaching leadership. They are releasing a new co-written book called Ask. The Bridge from Your Dreams from Your Dreams to Your Destiny in the spring of 2020. They are both passionate about the health of our planet and the need to create comprehensively sustainable energy and water solutions. Together, they are the owners of Natural Power Concepts, a Hawaii-based company focused on cleaning up the planet through natural energy devices, a metamorphosis energy and renewable energy development company. They live happily in beautiful Scottsdale, Arizona. If I do have a mic, I'm going to drop the mic because those were fantastic bios. Congratulations, Mark and Crystal, for all the incredible goodness that you are putting into the world.
Well, thank you for doing this show, and thank you for helping entrepreneurs take little value and make it massive value to the marketplace themselves, create a future and a fortune.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I'm honored to have you guys on the show. So Mark, people instinctively probably think when they hear your name, they instinctively think of Chicken Soup for the Soul, even though you've done so much other work, right? And now with Crystal, by your side as your partner, bringing that work to the next level, you guys are really you're the dream team, right? So.
We are. We feel very grateful for that, David. It really makes a profound difference in one's life. We feel very thankful that we found each other and that we wake up every day with the same attitude of wanting to make life wonderful and make life work. And it makes it a lot of fun. You know, we do business together, we do everything together. A lot of people say, we can't believe you guys can stand to be together as much as you are.
Yeah. Well, if you're watching this on video on the Avanti Entrepreneur channel on YouTube, I mean, you guys, you're almost snuggling. I love it. I could, you know, I'm in New York, you're in Arizona. I could feel the love. You know, it's great. It's great to see that. You know, to spend so much time together and still feel like that. That's wonderful.
Well, she is my bucket list number one, and you know, everybody wants just to have a soulmate, but the higher level of that is twin flame. That's where you put two lit candles together, it jumps fourfold, and she is all that and more.
Yeah, together,
I love it.
Together we burn a lot brighter and higher.
I love it. It's like 1 + 1 = 1,000, right? So, Mark, I want to start with you a little bit going way back, and you've probably been asked this question a million times, but I just want to start at the beginning of the journey before, you know, the whole world knew your name. You know, your first hit, I'm going to think, was Chicken Soup for the Soul. And how did that, you know, going back, how did that come to be? How did that, your life's journey get to that moment where you and Jack Canfield launched that book?
And the most concise thing I can do is say that I was doing professional speaking since 1974. Jack and I met, we were both talking to 6,000 people at a great conference in San Diego, a health conference. He came up to me and said, "Do you know me?" And I said, "Yeah, you're Dr. Jack Canfield. Of course I know you. I just attended your seminar and now you attended mine." He said, "Well, let's go to lunch." I showed him how to do short stories that were heart-touching, soul-penetrating. Longer story, we decided to get together and made it into a book series because people kept saying, "Do you have it in a book?" And we did it. And thank God, after 144 rejections, it worked.
144. Yeah, so that is a story right there.
I'm joking.
Oh!
Road, Jack. And I said, "Look, if you don't like him, I'm a nice guy, but still 144 rejections later." Oh
my God. Well, you know, you hear the Walt Disney was rejected like 600 times or something, right? So you hear these great stories of persistence, right? So, and all the people that rejected him, right? How sorry were they? Right?
All because of a little mouse.
Right. And now Chicken Soup for the Soul, you've obviously done a lot of different iterations of that book, right? I mean, when I told you before we started that my previous company, I ran a magazine. It was a magazine for high school students. We would help them with college, career, and life planning. And we featured your book, When You're Chicken Soup for the Teen Soul, which was wonderful. Yeah, it was a great book. And
19 million of those. So I'm really thankful. And our publisher had said, "I got teenagers who are not going to buy this. They buy CDs, concert tickets, and clothes. You give them $50 and they say them all ate it. It ain't going to happen, boy." And every time he said it wasn't going to work, it worked. So we're blissfully thankful. And thank you for serving a very needy, tough group, which we think we're serving with our new book, Ask, because Crystal will tell you, we think they're taking too much screen time.
Well, I have three kids, right? 2 of them are teens, 1 of them's 9, and I call this, you know, they have different names for the generations, millennials, X, etc. I'm calling this generation screen because it is right, right. It is the TV or the phone or the computer or the iPad, right? And if they don't have any of those, it's like, "Daddy, I'm bored." And you know, I say, "Good. Yeah. Go play with sticks in the backyard. Figure something out," because that's what I do, right?
Your imagination, right?
Because the 2 of us were never bored, and I got an idea that was the same for you, David.
I was never bored.
You got this much to do, and then as a magazine editor, oh man, all kinds of stuff came to you, right?
Oh my God! As a kid, you know, my parents had to beg me to come inside, right? Because I was out riding my BMX bike, building forts, playing kickball, and now we got to beg kids to go outside, right?
Bribe them to go outside. It's just tragic because I think honestly there were probably moments when we were bored, but we were so resourceful. We had to be our own best resource. We had to get creative and think of things and get out there and ask for friendship. It's one of the things we talk about in our book is people are too isolated to ask these days. You know, we had to like really go out on a limb and invest in our friendships when we were all growing up, and it was a wonderful thing.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, for sure. And you, in fact, what you just said, I think I'm going to tell you this quick story. So when I was in the middle of first grade, my parents moved back to Rochester, New York, my hometown. I was born here. We moved away. We came back middle of the first grade, moved to a new town, and I knew nobody. So I said, "Hey, Mom and Dad, I'm going to go out to the neighborhood, knock on doors, and try to meet new friends my age." And they were like, "Okay, different day, right? Just let your 6-year-old kid go out in the whole neighborhood." And I met friends that day, just knocking on doors. Hi, I'm David Mamano. I'm in first grade. Do you have any friends I could play with? I met friends that day that I am still extremely good friends with. And to your point, just the power of getting out there, asking, making friends, right? Developing your little network, right? And I sort of got one of my best friends I met that day. So what is that, like, 45 years later?
One of the stories we have in our book has a title for that. It's Rita Davenport says, "Get your ask in gear."
Right.
I like it. Get your ask in gear, right? Yeah. A friend of mine came up with something. I don't know if he came up with it, but he said, "Don't be an ask hole," meaning he meant by that a lot of people ask for advice, but then they never take it, right? They never listen, right? So he calls those people ask holes.
That's a new one for us. I haven't heard that.
Yeah.
What you're saying is exactly what we teach in the book is you got to ASK, the GET. And most people we got 7 roadblocks to asking that I'll let Crystal talk to articulately if you'd like, but everyone hits them sooner or later. And especially when the market's fluctuating and volatile like it is today.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, David.
So I printed out, right? If you're watching this, I printed out the cover of your book, right? And so this is your latest book, and you did this together, which is really great. And once again, everybody looking on Amazon, it's called Ask, the Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. Let's get into it. Why should the Avanti? So Avanti, the Avanti family, we are the founders, right? We're the beginning and middle stage entrepreneurs who, took the risk to start the business. And sometimes it gets crazy, right? We get the logistics and just craziness of running a business. Sometimes we forget why we became an entrepreneur, right? So how do we get back to that original feeling of why we became an entrepreneur? I would imagine that, this book would help with that, right? So tell us a little bit more about the book.
Well, the reason we wrote the book, David, is because Mark and I are so fortunate. We get to meet so many cool people. And we found that there were like 2 groups of people. We found it was sort of separating in our minds, like 2 groups of people. Both groups were smart, interesting, likable, often educated, had a lot going on, wanted good things for themselves. But group number 1 seemed to be the super achievers. And group number 2 were getting what they wanted. And we're like, why? What is the big difference here? Because there's no visible difference. These are really great people across the board, both groups. I mean, a lot of times the group that's not getting what they want, thinking of, we talk about a specific individual, like this guy should be in TV. He should be in show business. He's so talented. He's so articulate. He's so smart. He's barely making it. Why? And again, because we do this morning hour of prayer and meditation together. So we discuss a lot of things. And it started to break down to one thing. The people who are master achievers are also masterful askers. They've either learned, from early childhood or just been mentored on how to become a better asker in life. And so we separated it into 3 areas. We say there are 3 channels through which you need to ask, and that is ask yourself, ask others, and ask God. And if you're able to deploy those simple tools in your life, which all of us have, life starts to change dramatically. And master achievers are always master askers. That is the one thing we found consistently over and over again. We did 26 interviews for this book, and it was really fascinating to break this down.
It's really, really resonating with me, those 3 questions of ask that you just said, because I'm at a point in my life where, with Avanti, and it's just the nature of being kind of a manic entrepreneur. I have 15 products, right? I'm like, well, yeah, the shiny object, let me go for it, right? And so I have a business coach that I've been talking to, and I've been telling him that I've been feeling a little frenetic, right? A little like, I'm doing so much, and even me, it's getting to be a little, and I just wanted to focus, right? And so he went through this process with me. He had me basically ask myself, what gives me the most energy? What gives me the most joy You're right, from a career perspective.
Yeah.
And for me, and Mark was talking about this, I am on fire personally when I am speaking in front of an audience. Love doing it, right? And so he's like, why are you doing more? I was like, good question. So I developed, 3 talks I could do, and I created a brochure around those talks. So, and then step 2 was, he said, ask others. So he said, go out to people that you know, all the people on your podcast, your respected network, people in your network that you like, mentors, and send them an email with your brochure. Tell about what you're thinking about, and ask for feedback, right? And that's what I have been doing the past week, and it's been fantastic. And inadvertently, I'm starting to get some speaking gigs, right? Just by asking for feedback, right?
Just by asking, isn't it crazy?
It is. And then, hey, listen, I'm a good Catholic boy saying my prayers every day. And I'm definitely asking for God for his guidance. So your formula it has been perfect for me. So without even reading the book, I'm going to say it works.
It absolutely does.
When I was bankrupt and upside down in 1974, I wanted to speak. And I was living in Hicksville, Long Island, New York. And at the time I had 4 roommates, and I went to breakfast and I said, any of you guys know anybody that's young, that's speaking, not a cotton top with white hair, not a celebrity, not a lawyer, not a doctor, not somebody famous, that's speaking and making money? And one of the guys was in real estate, John, and he said, yeah, there's this kid named Chip Collins. He's up Hauppauge, Long Island, New York. He's starting at 9 o'clock this morning. I got in my beat up old Volkswagen, the only thing the bankruptcy courts had not taken from me, raced my little butt out there, got there and sat there in awe of this guy who's a few years older than myself. At the end, I said, will you teach me how to do it? He said, look, if you stay out of real estate where I am and do just life insurance meetings, it's a bottomless pit for motivation. You could never talk to all the 18,000 life insurance people, and 90% of them turn over every year. And it's fascinating that 44 years later, I'm back in that market again, fortuitously. I wasn't soliciting it, but we are co-chairman asking to raise almost $1 billion for child help, which has helped 10.5 million kids get out of abuse and neglect and sex trafficking. And our co-chairman is one of the 3 best guys in life insurance, and said, hey, look, the life insurance guys want you guys to write a book. And she came up with a title called Sell Like the Greats, because the front end of all this business of asking is you got to sell. Everybody listening to you has got to learn how to sell. And if they can't sell, they got to get somebody great to sell them, meaning equivalently an agent.
Right. And selling is really asking. It's asking.
That's
All about asking. It's first of all, and we talk about that. So we have some great stories in the book about that very thing. When you approach a client, the worst thing you can do is just walk in and tell them everything you want to sell them. This is what I want for you. This is what I have for you. This is how great I am. If you try to sell like that, if you try to approach business like that, you'll probably fail every time and wonder what's going on. I have such a great product. I'm such a great person. I'm so smart. I know so much about this. If you start by just sitting down and asking, what is important to you? What has, tripped your company up before? What are your worst struggles? What would it look like if you were able to solve those struggles? How would it feel if I were able to tenfold your production? How would it feel if I was able to take this problem away from you? It's always a series of questions. Doing successful business requires asking, and then really listening for the answers. And
that's the trick, right? That's the big thing too, is like really listening, right?
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think a lot of entrepreneurs and salespeople, we can ask questions, but not always really listen, right? Because we're going to the next question.
Right. She's been number 1 in a multiplicity of fields, including real estate modeling and all that. But same thing for you is that when I would sit down with a little general agent or manager or anyone in the insurance business, which is one of the businesses I'd ask you to go train in right now, because they're down in the doldrums and they can get back up. And if you give them, Zig Ziglar would call it check up from the neck up. But if you're the GA or manager, I'd say, would you like you and your staff to triple their income, double your time off, and I'd shut up.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty much it, right?
You answered that question, right?
Right.
How often do you do seminars? And they said, about every week. Well, what day of the week do you do them? And you'd say Tuesday. And I'd say morning or afternoon. You say, we start at 6 in the morning. I said, well, good. I'll be here. And which is most important to you? Prospecting, presenting, good work habits, or closing? And you'd say it. And back when I started, I was charging $25 a seminar, which so I said, I got to get prepaid on this, $100. Do you want to cut the check, David, or do you want your secretary to cut it? And then I'd shut up again.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's a good sign of a good salesperson, is knowing when to shut up, right?
Ask the question and then zip it.
And then boom, boom. Well, and I mean, this is incredible advice. And you talk about Zig Ziglar. I think he said it, that people don't care what you know until they know that you care. Right. And so by asking questions, you're going to show them that you care, and by listening. Right. Dale Carnegie, a lot of the stuff in How to Win Friends and Influence People is about really getting to know people by asking good questions. Right. So
for 6 months, I was the top salesman at Dale Carnegie, and I studied the top sales 2 or 3 people. And this woman, Babbitts, every Monday she came in and she took all the ad calls, and I got it because she said, when the people called up asking about the thing in the big ads in the New York Times or the LA Times, Long Island Times, said, have you convinced yourself, David, to take the class, or do you need more information? If they said they're convinced, said, good, write a check for $367, Dale Carnegie, send it to this.
Right. You remember the amount too. I like that.
But that's how quick she sold. And I thought, wow, I can do that. And pretty soon I started taking the ad calls, and it just went straight up, because you've got to have the right questions. And that's what our book teaches.
Yeah.
Excellent. So once again, it's called Ask: The Bridge from Your Dreams to Your Destiny. And so this is coming out when? When is it going to be available?
April 28th is the release date, but it's on pre-sale, pre-order at Amazon right now. So we have a lot of people out there buying up the book, which is really fun. And we have a special offer for people who are buying 100 books or more. And we have a really great group of people who are doing that, just buying the books for their the people they influence or their company or whatever, friends, family, charity. We're having, for all of those who order 100 books or more before the actual launch date, which is April 28th, we're holding a special event in Scottsdale. So we'll spend the day together, and we're really going to we're going to go deep on asking and really try to launch everybody for this decade to really become master askers. We'll do some visualizations and things like that, because I'm, as Mark said, I'm a transformational life coach, clinical hypnotherapist. So we're going to use all these techniques, and it's going to be like a day of immersion. So it's a really great deal, actually. And then we're going to wrap up the day with dinner at our house. So we have people buying 300 books or 100 books or 200 books.
Hope you have a big house, because I think you're going to get a lot of takers.
I know, that's where we're starting to go.
And they have to send the receipt to reception. At reception at markvictorhansen.com.
Yes.
And the reason is, we need to know that you really bought them, and then we can look at it, and they can either buy them at Amazon, or if they're really a big buyer, like a company or something, then they should go to bulkbooks.com and buy them.
Bulk books.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. A lot of companies have book clubs for their employees, right? So this would be a perfect way to tackle that next book for the company. So that's fantastic.
I've never heard of book clubs for companies. How do I get that list? Boy, I want that list.
Oh, I had one when I had the magazine. We had a book club, and I would let them vote on the book they wanted to read the next month, and we would all read it together and talk about it at every company meeting. And it was a great way to have kind of like in-house learning. So absolutely, I think it's kind of a culture building tip, right? So my book, my second book was called Make Love in the Workplace, and
what a great title!
It was about culture. It was about culture. So that was one of the things I did to have kind of an engaged workplace, right? So.
That would do it.
So excellent. I'm definitely going to talk about the book a little bit more. But Mark, you mentioned something that I didn't know that I want to, if you don't mind, talk about a little bit, because my latest book that just came out about a month ago is called Crash and Learn, right? And instead of crashing and burning, it's crashing and learning, right? And the reason I came up with that is I do ask a lot of people on my podcast, oh, hey, you're doing great now, but tell me about a time when you crashed and almost burned, but rose again like the phoenix, right? And everybody, I say most people are like, oh my God, which story do you want, right? And let's get behind the curtain, and I'll tell you. So usually everybody has some type of crash and almost burn story. So I collected some of these stories. There's 10 authors in my book, and we each wrote a chapter about our crash, and we changed it to Crash and Learn experience. So you mentioned, I believe you said 1974. Like who would think the successful Mark Victor Hansen went belly up and bankrupt but was able to rise again. Would you mind telling us about that, experience?
In graduate school, I've been with Einstein's best student was my teacher, Dr. Buckminster Fuller, and he invented a lot of important stuff, wrote 40 books, but invented geodesic domes, spherical buildings made out of triangles. And my mistake was I tried to be Bucky rather than Mark. And as a result, I built the Wall Street Racquet Club, Botanical Gardens, aviaries, but I was building out of PVC plastic exactly when the oil embargo hit, which is happening again today. The King of Saudi Arabia has decided to go after us one more time. And I was doing jokes then and say, the Arabs can write checks so big your bank's allowance. But I went bankrupt so fast, I literally had to check a book at a library because I had no money. How to go bankrupt by yourself. And what was amazing is that I'm on the Long Island Eastern Court steps, and a lawyer, an ambulance chasing a lawyer, says, "Hey, buddy, I'll take you bankrupt for $300." I said, "Buddy, if I had $300 right now,
you wouldn't be here."
And for 6 months, I was hiding out and hanging under the sheets. And then I started speaking and started traveling. And everybody will respond to this, but I had a little Visa card that I put money in advance. Now, today we call it a debit card. Back then, they didn't have debit cards. And I bought a ticket for $750 to fly somewhere like Chicago or LA or whatever it was. And I'm on the airplane, and all of a sudden they call my name over the intercom, and I go, "They caught me. I'm done for. I'm not going to make this talk," because I had to go do the talk and sell some product so I could have money to pay off the talk. And people, luckily, they were just advancing me to a first-class seat because I was kind to the lady at the desk.
Wow.
I was sweating bullets, and I probably smelled bad.
Right. It's the worst feeling, right?
Guilty. I was honestly guilty. And the point is, everybody has a trauma story. Everybody has tragedy. And an objective in life is to overcome the adversity and see the advantage in it, see the silver lining in the cloud. And that comes back to you got to ask yourself.
Right. And I love the question. Tell David and the listeners the question you asked yourself, because I think at that time when we're struggling, those questions become life-changing. They become paradigm-changing. But so which one was it that you're? What do I want to do with the rest of my life? Who am I? What do I really want to be? And what was the answer to that?
Yeah, and the right life force was just like you, is that I want to speak because
But you had a really specific answer that was.
I want to talk to people that care about things that matter, that would make a life-changing difference.
Yeah.
And I sold my way through. I've been selling since I was 9 years old. I was a top greeting card salesman. I can go there if you want, but I'd sold and gotten an audio tape by the dean of speakers, the guy who created the audio business for all of us. Cabot Robert. He taught Zig Ziglar. He taught me. He taught everybody. So he's a great guy, and he and I became great friends. He was my mentor, teacher, superstar. I've been very blessed to have great and inspiring mentors. But I listened to this one tape when I was bankrupt. I'd sold my way through college. They gave me this audio. I never listened to it. I was too smart, cocky, arrogant, sophomoric. I knew everything, and now suddenly I'm bankrupt, and I'm so low I got to reach up, touch bottom. I listen to Cabot's tape. You're either the creature of circumstance or the creator. And I thought, wow, if I created this, which I did, I could uncreate it and go forward. But it was my best, worst experience, and I want people to listen to that. I'm going to slow it down. Best, worst experience. Some of the people who are listening to us are literally hanging on by their fingernails. Right. They're feeling hopeless, helpless, depressed, despondent, disconsolate. And Crystal and I, and now we're enrolling you to roll up your sleeves metaphorically with us, David, and say, hey, look, everybody's got to be an entrepreneur. There you go. We're rolling up our sleeves.
Rolling up our sleeves, absolutely.
We're fighting on your behalf. There's more in you than you think. And what happens is all of us are going to have to overcome a lot of stuff because the yogurt's going to keep hitting the fan for a while in America.
Yeah.
And the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And you know, I know it was tough to go through, right? And I know you said these people that are hanging on by their fingernails, and I'm going to agree with you. We've all been there, or you know, it's probably coming to some extent, right? Some trauma. But if you can continue to believe in yourself and have faith, and like you did, focus on, all right, what do I want, right? What do I want to do with my life? How can I help and impact people in the world? And then super hyper focus on that to get you out, right? Then you know, you will get through. I love Winston Churchill. When you're going through hell, don't stop, right?
Do it with enthusiasm.
moving.
Do it with big eyes,
Move
what he said.
quickly.
Don't stop, right?
He was going through hell with Germany at the time.
True.
Yeah, yeah, and to and I think what a great story that you were there. You were in the darkness, felt despondent. You're on that. When you were about to get on that plane, you're probably feeling like an imposter. Here you are going through this tough time, and you're like, you think they're going to catch you and kick you off the flight, but instead they moved you to first class. And I think that was a sign, like, all right, better things to come, right? And you do have to continue to have faith and keep on moving forward.
Exactly. And you want to tell your story of overcoming?
Well, yeah. I mean, my biggest story, I think, of overcoming happened when I was very young. I was one of those kids who high school was very easy for me. I wasn't really challenged, so I accelerated my curriculum. I graduated when I was 16 years old.
Wow.
And ended up marrying this guy 5 years older than I. Found myself, 2.5 years later in a city where I really had very few friends, had a baby on my hip, and divorced, and so no husband. And so it was a really tough time, and I did not know what to do. So I applied for food stamps, and I remember standing at the grocery store the first time with those food stamps with my baby, and I just got this sort of sick feeling inside, and I thought, this isn't me. This isn't the life that I want to have. And this huge question just popped into my mind. I said, am I tapping into my resources, into my personal strengths, or am I just taking the easy way out? And I knew the answer. I knew, I come from a family that's got kind of a strong pioneering spirit where you make your bed, you sleep in it. But I knew that I wasn't doing everything that I could be doing. I wasn't being my own best resource. So I decided in that moment, I said, I will never do this again. I will never reapply for these. I'll finish these, and I'll never be standing here with food stamps again. So I decided to go home and call all the temporary service agencies. I thought, what's the easiest way to get a job? I'll just apply for as many jobs as I can. So back then it was like Kelly Girls or whatever. And I applied at 3 of them, 3 different agencies. So I started.
She knows how to ask.
I wanted to work every day to figure out what I liked, because I thought, I don't even know what I like to do. So I started doing all these jobs. I was doing displays at malls and working in office buildings. And I started to understand that I had some skills and abilities in business. And so ultimately, I got with a modeling agency because I was approached a couple of times. I thought, why not? So approached a modeling agency. They signed me. I also decided to go to real estate school and, used some of my business and sales ability in that direction. And within, I would say, a year and a half, I was getting some great modeling jobs, and I was at the top of my company in sales. So,
wow. Within a year and a half.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have ask those questions in the beginning, you still could have easily been on the food stamp line, right?
Well, that's it. Because when we're in those situations, we either collapse into the fear, and give up. Yeah. Or we dig deeply and ask ourselves, what's the strongest part of me? Where is that strength inside of me? And I'm going to find it. And it's so important to remember that you have that inside of you. Don't give up on yourself. Start asking yourself the questions. What do I like? What can I do? What are my skills, my talents? Who can I talk to? And start asking. Just ask anyone you can talk to.
And the subtitle of the book is, What is Your Destiny? Our belief, and I'm going to bet it's yours, is that each and every one of us intrinsically has a destiny that's great, that's phenomenal, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
And there's some opportunity right now that we can go for. And it doesn't matter whether you're a student, whether you're a kid, whatever. When I was a little kid, my parents couldn't afford to buy a bicycle. I read the Boy Scout Life magazine, said I could sell greeting cards on consignment. I looked up the word. I said, hey, I can afford this. It cost me $0. And I sold 376 boxes in 1 month or 2 months maybe. And 30 plus years later, I'm back with that same company. And then we sold 897,000 boxes of Christmas cards at Christmas.
Wow.
Mostly I wrote and Jack edited. So it was a fascinating thing, because I never expected to do that twice. But by the way, because of where we're at, and there's cycle volatility and cycles go around, every cycle purportedly repeats itself. In other words, day follows night, blah, 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 blah. And, we're not going to get that changed. And suddenly, like I said, we're back in the life insurance business. I was back in the greeting card business. And never expected that.
Well, we're kindred spirits, Mark, because I did that too. I was a Boy Scout, read Boy's Life, and I sold those cards as well. I don't think I sold as many as you, but so we both did that. That's fantastic. I don't even know if Boy's Life still comes out, but what a great magazine that was, right?
By the way, I'm going to put in a political thing here. I wanted the Boy Scouts to last, and I'm sorry that a few bad apples have wrecked a great institution, because I think every boy needs fraternity and every girl needs sorority, and that's not going to change. And that's what we're saying here, and that's why we wrote the book Ask, is because we've got kids and grandkids, and we see them living on. And then when we've traveled around the world, in Asia, they've got 2 cell phones and they're walking with their friend and not talking to them. We're going, wait a second,
right.
you got to get these people to understand. They got to start asking. And back to what you said, the first thing, eyeball to eyeball, belly button to belly button, the old way of selling is going to come back.
Yeah, the old fashioned way.
Yeah, I was going to say the stakes are so high, with asking if you when you fail to ask, and truly. And we have the greatest story in our book, David, about a woman named Rita Davenport, and she was a very popular broadcast journalist, television journalist at the time. She was so good. She ended up creating her own cooking show because she just had this fabulous personality. The cooking show flourished. She had on all the greatest chefs. It was one of the top shows in Phoenix at the time. And so she had on Julia Childs and Wolfgang Puck and all of those amazing chefs. Interestingly enough, she had friends at the competitor station, and they told her, Rita, this is the funniest thing. This guy locks himself in his office when your show's on, and he just studies you. He watches everything you do. He's like, with you. We think he has a crush on you. And so she didn't think much about it. Well, Rita had this fabulous idea that she took to the corporation who owned her station. And she thought, this is so popular, I could create a food network. And she presented this idea. She said, this would be fabulous. People love food. They love all these different food ideas. We should create an entire food network. If you'll get behind me, I've written the whole plan out. And the guy basically said, no, Rita, that will never work. I know your show is great. I know people like it, but that's not a great idea. No one will ever watch food preparation all day long.
Hello.
Hello. The guy at the station studying her show took her idea and created the Food Network.
Oh my God.
And he admitted it to her years later. They were they were friends, acquaintances more than good friends, but they bumped into each other at a black tie event, years later, after he had just sold the Food Network for $3 billion.
Oh, did he give her a little bit? Come on.
She said, well, you took that idea from me. That was my idea. And he said, I know, I admit it. It was your idea. She goes, you could have given me a little something, that's kind of.
Right. Yeah. Well, she maybe she should have asked once that guy said no, she should have asked, how can I do this? Right. Maybe she should have called him. I know you're watching me. Let's do this together. Right.
Right. Well, that's what she'll tell you today. She said, the fact that I stopped asking, I asked one time, and the first person that said no to me, I accepted that.
Yeah.
So the lesson here is, when you have something great, when her passion was so great, the feedback was so great, do not give up, do not accept no, keep asking and asking and asking. And that's, part of the strategy of asking is maybe you're asking the wrong person.
Right.
Go to somebody else, or the wrong people, or the wrong company, or the wrong group. You have to keep modifying your strategy, but the key is never stop asking. The fact that she didn't ask, she said that cost me, that was my $3 billion business loss.
Yeah. Well, so I hope that she did something else and that was worthy of her destiny, because I think the most important word you have, I'll say it's tied. Ask is first, but I think destiny is such an important word too, because, and you guys were talking about this to some extent, that we all have, I believe, a God-given destiny. And then second to that, I believe it's our duty to fulfill that destiny, right? Like we have to ask what it is, and then continuing to ask along the journey to get there, right? And I don't care, like everyone is my superior in some way. The bum on the street knows something that I don't know. He has a destiny. She has a destiny. Everybody has a destiny, but we all don't have the willingness, right? To have the fortitude and endurance to keep on asking, right? To get there. And that's why I can't wait to read your book. I might order 101 just so I can come to your dinner.
Okay, good.
Yeah, fantastic. You're welcome. We'd love to have you here, David. And just on that note really quickly, that's why we say asking is the literal bridge between your dreams that are sitting here in your heart and that destiny that's out there waiting for you. And that was the one differentiator that we saw with people, you know, the master achievers, the people reaching their destiny and those who are not. It's the asking bridge. We said asking literally creates this bridge because, you know, question by question, answer by answer, you know, you will keep moving toward your destiny because the universe will deliver a solution, an illumination, revelation, you know, answer you're looking for, a pivot, whatever it is, but keep asking. When you're stuck, keep asking. It's the most simple thing to remember.
So one of the questions, because we said 3 parts and the third one is ask God, everybody listening ought to go to bed and if they don't know their destiny and say 400 times in a row, God, what's your destiny for me? And be ready either to tape record it in your phone, if you've got that kind of smartphone, or have a little yellow pad next to your bed or something and take notes on it. And you say, well, did you ever do that? Well, we do it all the time together. But when Jack and I didn't have the right title for the book, we understood it's called a thought command by psychiatrist Eric Erickson, and same thing that Napoleon Hill used to do Think and Grow Rich, which I hope everyone's read again and again. But and you know, I did my book launched a bigger than that called 1 Minute Millionaire. But the point is that when Jack and I did it, we said 400 times mega best-selling title, mega best-selling title, mega best-selling title, mega best-selling title. And then at 4:30 in the morning, he calls me, wakes up everybody in our house because back then we didn't have cell phones.
Right. The little dial, right?
Ding, hello. Yeah. It said chicken soup. And I said, for the soul. We knew that we had it. And it just, you know, God gave it to us. And but we asked deeply because the point is the kingdom of heaven is within it. It shows up without at the level that you're willing to go deep, penetratingly within.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is fantastic. I am so honored and excited to have you guys on the show. I think we're going to do so much good for the Avanti listeners, and you guys, you're bringing everything that you've done right to the next level. And I'm so honored and grateful that I had the opportunity to talk to you guys about your new book. I'm so excited, and I'm going to come out. I'm going to buy 101 books of Ask. And I'm going to come have dinner with you guys. How's that sound?
Oh, bless your heart.
We're looking forward to it, David. It's been such a pleasure to be here.
And I also have to thank Ken Walls for the intro. I would be very sorry. So God bless Ken Walls.
Ken Walls is a gem.
He's a gem. And we were talking about some of the greats that preceded you. And one of them was Earl Nightingale, right? And you know, Earl was one of the pioneers in this. And I believe, you know, his wife is still alive. I found that out because someone told me. I called her. She answered. I had her on my podcast. So I asked, right? So we become friends. We're emailing. She's awesome. We're Facebook friends now. But I believe she lives in Scottsdale. I think she lives in your city, right? Yeah.
Earl used to live here before he started Nightingale Conant, and I'm totally keen in that company because they did a lot of tapes with me, like the tapes. Interesting tapes I did long ago. In just the last 4 months, they've come back and we're bringing them out again. One of their best-selling set tapes in history, I'm thankful to say, is called "How to Think Bigger Than You Ever Thought You Could Think." Yeah. Like, if you're going to think, why not think big? And in the world right now, we've got 8 billion people alive, and all you got to do if you want to be a billionaire is solve something for 1/8 of those people, and everyone's got a solution. Like you said, the bum on the street has, you know, knowledge or awareness, and he just doesn't know how to be an infopreneur, an information entrepreneur is what I call it. And obviously I did the whole tapes on that, and I did one called Dreams Don't Have Deadlines, because, you know, some of the stuff that we thought we could have done 40 or 50 years ago, or I thought I could have done, we wrote it as goals. Now it's coming true, it's unfolding, even though we've gone through the pulsations of life, and the vicissitudes is a nice way to say it.
Right. Good word. Good SAT word. I like that. Excellent. Well, hey, both of you, Mark and Crystal, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much for your time. And once again, what you're doing for the world. This is the first time I've had 2 people on the podcast at the same time. So that was excellent. It was a great debut of 2 people on my pod. And I've been doing this for 3.5 years. So, yep. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I am so glad that both of you were born And once again, putting so much goodness into the world. And I wish you both continued massive success.
Thank you, David. It's our great pleasure to be here. Yes. All the best to you and your listeners. We're excited to connect with all of them.
Thank you so much. And Avanti family, Avanti listeners, this podcast will be recorded for a long, long time at AvantiEntrepreneur.com. Tons of resources there. Mark and Crystal, if they want to find you guys, where's the best place to get in touch with you, website, all that good stuff?
Right. So I go by Crystal Dwyer, DWYER Hansen, and Facebook, Twitter, all of those things. And then I have a website called crystalvisionlife.com. We're just redoing the website, but a lot of resources there. I do a lot of guided visualization to get rid of, my whole thing is about, mind excavation, getting rid of all the junk that's not serving you, because we all have that subconscious programming. So that you can find those resources there. And then of course, Mark's is markvictorhansen.com, Twitter, Facebook, online.
And we use 3 names, not to be pompous or pretentious. It's just, I'm Danish, and Denmark means the mark. And so Hansen is like Smith in Denmark. So there are there are 423 Mark Hansens at Nordstrom in Southern California. So Mark Victor Hansen makes it good. And when I was running for student body president, it was Mark Victory with Hansen, and it worked pretty well for me.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Who doesn't like a victor, right? And you're going to like this. I might have mentioned to you, we were talking before. I'm right here in this town right now that I live in and work in. It's called Victor. I live in Victor, New York. So there you go.
Is that close to Rochester?
Right outside of Rochester. Yeah. Born and bred in Rochester, New York. Victor, New York. Yep.
Wow. Never. I've been to Rochester a bunch of times, but never Victor, I don't think.
We would love to have you. You let me know. You're going to stay at my house. I'm going to make you a nice dinner, both of you, okay?
Oh, that's so
good.
We appreciate it, David. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for having us on.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Avanti listeners. Thanks for listening, and make sure to stay awesome.